Rule 2, also St. Ignatius of Loyola is defending the greatest of all sacraments, which is the sacrament of the body, the blood, the soul, the divinity of Jesus Christ. The great sacrament of the Eucharist, which Jesus Christ prophesied in John chapter 6, when he said, I am the bread of life, whoever eats my body and drinks my blood will have everlasting life, and I will raise him up on the last day. In which this sacrament was instituted Holy Thursday night in the cenacle in the context of the Last Supper, when Jesus took bread and he took wine, and he said these words, Take and eat, this is my body. Take and drink, this is my blood. In this second rule, St. Ignatius is promoting frequent confession. He starts out by saying it is to be promoted yearly communion. Then he goes on to say it is to be promoted also monthly confession. And then he says, even more so, weekly communion. Don't forget that we're talking about the 16th century, when frequent communion was not promoted. It was only with St. Pope Pius X in the late 1800s, early 1900s, in which the promotion of children receiving Holy Communion and more frequent communion was promoted. At the same time, St. Ignatius says, provided requisite and proper dispositions are present. Ignatius is insisting upon the theological sacramental truth of what is called the dispositive grace. And it means that we receive the graces from the sacraments, especially the Eucharist, inasmuch as we have a proper disposition. That is to say, that the better the disposition of our heart, the more abundant will be the graces. The fault is never in the sacrament, because the sacrament is God Himself. The fault is rather in the recipient of the sacrament, namely you and me. The better we prepare ourselves to receive the Eucharist, the more abundant the graces. So the second rule, St. Ignatius, going against the Protestant reformers, is strongly promoting the frequent reception of these two sacraments, the sacrament of healing and forgiveness, which is confession, and the greatest sacrament, the sacrament of the Eucharist, which is the sacrament of His body, His blood, His soul, and His divinity. These are the two most important moments in our lives as Catholic Christians, receiving God's mercy in confession and receiving His real presence in the Eucharist.